Hello everyone, welcome back to My Green Pets, and we're going to talk very quickly, briefly about light levels today for orchids. So I've got here my trusty light meter, and I'm going to pop that guy on. And this one shows light in lux, yeah? So I'm going to pop it all the way up to the highest level. And this is showing that I've got, let's see here, 10, 100,000. So let's see, that's 108,000 lux. So we're looking at 10, 11,000 foot candles. Okay, foot candles are the light recommendations that are given by the American Orchid Society. So we're going to use those, and these are approximate. You know, it could be 1 to 200 off, but more or less, it's pretty accurate. So we are in direct sunlight right now, and it's just about noon. So the sun's pretty high, and it is very sunny. You can see we've got about 11,000 foot candles going on here, more or less. Okay, so I'm going to come right over here, and this is right where my Vanda is. My Vanda is receiving, you can see it kind of go down a little bit because there is a little bit of shade over here, but many parts of the Vanda are receiving 11,000. That is full early September sunlight. I mean, that is full sun. They are in full sun right now, and they're going to be in that full sun probably 5 to 6 hours today. Now once the sun starts to go around and the tree starts to shade a little bit, you can see it doesn't have many leaves on it, so it's not going to shade it very much. Those light levels will go down a little bit, but like you can see just right here, when the light meter falls in under the shade of one little branch, it drops the light levels down to 4,000 or 5,000. So I just wanted you to see that this is an orchid. It's a Vanda. It's blooming. It seems to be happy. It has been sunburned because the light levels changed pretty quickly, but it is surviving out here in 11,000 foot candles of light. I'm sorry. So they can take a lot of light. It's basically my point here. You can grow your Vandas in full sun. You just have to you have to get them accustomed to it. You introduce them to it slowly. Okay, if you don't, you'll get sunburned. But you know, even if it gets sunburned, you know, not the end of the world. This plant got a little bit of nasty sunburn earlier on, and it's still blooming, so it's okay. All right. So let's take it over to the shade house here. Okay, so now we're in the shade house. This is the 50% shade portion of the shade house. And if you look at our settings now, we're at about 2,500, 3,000 foot candles, something like that. Around 3,000 foot candles is what it kind of averages out to be. It jumps all over the place because of the way that the shadows fall on the light meter, but it's about 3,000 in here. And this is my Cattleyas. I've got a little Vanda in here as well. I've got my Maxillariella. I've got Oncidium. I've got Phragmipediums. Let's see, I got my Catasetum type orchid as well. I've even got a Zygopetalum in here. And then we kind of come to the border, which I've got 50% on one side and 85% on the other side. And this is where I've got my Bulbophyllums, so they get kind of brighter morning light and then more shade in the afternoon. So once we... Okay, now here we are in the shadiest part of the shade house. This is the 85% shade portion. This is where I've got my Phalaenopsis, my slipper orchids, some of my seedlings, some of my Bulbophyllums. And you can see that the light meter is showing less than 1,000 foot candles on this. So depending on where I stand, it hits 1,000 in a couple of different places. So I would say it averages out to be about 1,000 foot candles right here. And so these plants get light for about, I guess I'd say about 12 hours a day they get light. And it's pretty even. It just, obviously the sun just kind of moves from one side to the other throughout the day. So if you're having trouble getting an orchid to bloom, everything looks okay, but the orchid just not blooming, it often, I think, can be a question of light. If you don't have a light meter, I've seen that there's one way called the shadow test, which is basically you put your hand over your plants and you look at the intensity of the shadow So, for example, this is the shadow of about 1,000-foot candles. It's still clearly defined, but it's not very dark. And then if we go over to foot candles, we can see that the shadow becomes a little darker, right? And then of course if we go over to full sun, your shadow is going to be extremely dark and extremely defined. So that might be another way for you to gauge whether or not your orchids are getting the right light levels. Also, this is tree frog season. They are literally everywhere, and they're just not very big. You can see, compared to my thumb, he's just a little guy. But they are absolutely everywhere, and they do a good job eating mosquitoes and other bad bugs. So we like to have them around. Okay, that's all. Just wanted to talk a little bit about light, and you guys have yourselves a good Labor Day weekend. See you next time.